Hi, Leo students, Mr. Kaczynski with you. Going to go through the 3.7 practice your skills solutions. There's a lot to get to, so let's get after it right now. I'll share my screen. All right, so here we go. We're going to find slope of these lines. I'm going to use a slope triangle, okay? We'll save the slope formula for number 2. So here we go. Slope triangle looks just like this. It's basically to get from one point to another. How far would you go vertically and how far would you go horizontally? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spots up and 2 spots to the right. So that would be a slope of 4 over 2, which we would just call 2, or 2 over 1, because we could also go up to right 1, or we could go down to left 1 to get to another point. Okay, how about this one? Let's see, if we get from this point, we would need to go up 2 and right 3. So that's our slope, 2 over 3. Done. For C, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So that's a negative slope since we're going down from left to right, and 3 to the right, so negative 4/3. On D, we're going to need to go down 1, so that's negative, and right 3, so the slope is negative 1/3. On E, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 3, so 4/3 on this one, positive 4/3. And lastly, down 3. Right 1, we are definitely going to simplify that slope though and just call it a slope of negative 3. All right, that brings us to number 2, and we're going to find the slope of this line, and we're going to use the slope formula to do this. Then we're going to give coordinates of another point on the line. Now, there's an infinite number of points that fall on a line. I'm only going to give one, a couple cases, maybe talk about a second, but all right, so slope. Let's do change in y. I can do 7 minus 4 or 4 minus 7. Doesn't matter, but whatever order I choose for my y's, I have to do it in the same order for my x's. So I'll do 4 minus 2. Change in y over change in x. That's the rise, the vertical distance on the graph, 3. And there's the horizontal distance between the points on the graph. That's 2. So our slope is 3/2. You could switch it to 1.5, but I don't really like that because the next thing I'm going to do is find another point, and I think it makes sense to look at this as a ratio. Means y goes up 3 every time x goes up 2. So if my x goes up from 4 to 6, my y value is going to go up from 7 to 10. So add 2 to the x value, add 3 to the y value. If you did 1.5, you could do 5 with 8.5, but I just don't want to bring decimals into this. All right, next up, let's do 5 minus negative 1. So 5 minus negative 1 is like 5 plus 1. And then we'll do 2 minus 6. So that'll give us, oops, I'm sorry, actually 6 over 4. But we can obviously simplify that. We'll make it 3/2 for the slope. 3/2 again. Is that right? Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. Oh, no, it's negative 3/2. Oh, I didn't think it was the same. So negative 3/2 because that's a negative 4 down there. All right, so that means that x is going to go up 2. And when that happens, y will go down 3. We'll go up from 2 to 4. And our y value will go down from 5 to 2. So add 2 to the x, add or subtract 3 from the y. All right, negative 2 minus negative 8, that's like negative 2 plus 8. And then 3 minus negative 1, or 3 plus 1 is the easier way to look at that. 6 over 4, another 3/2, okay. So again, I think I'll just add 2 to my x value. So 3 to 5. And I'm going to add 2 to my, just making sure my math is right here, Feels like I did this one before and I didn't get the same answer. -2 plus 8 is 6. 3 plus 1 is 4. That's 3/2, yeah. So x goes up 2, y goes up 3 from -2 to +1. There you go. So slope is 3/2. Our new point would be 5, 1. All right, 7 minus 4 here. Lots of 3's on top. 2 minus 2 on bottom. Okay, it's got an interesting one there. So that's 3 over 0, which we are just going to call an undefined slope. If you, oops, spelling undefined wrong though. Let's go undefined. So the slope is undefined because you can't divide by 0. So even on a calculator, if I do 3 divided by 0, I get an error, okay, because you can't divide by 0. So another point on the line, well, it could be like literally 2 and anything, any number. Two and any number, because x is always 2. All right, so then they give us tables, but the process still remains the same. Well, actually, let's see what happens here. Change in y, I noticed right away that both my y values were 4. And then I'll do -2 minus 8 down here. That gives me 0 over -10. So in this case, our slope is not undefined, it's 0. Okay, so this is a vertical line. This is a horizontal line. And as far as, you know, another point on the line, you could do any number you want for x, but your y value is always going to be 4. All right, -3 minus 12 over 1 minus 9 here. That's going to give me -15 over -8, which is equivalent to +15 over +8. And again, I don't think I want to turn that into a decimal. There's no need for it. I'll just add 8 to my next x value. So 9 plus 8 is 17. And then I'll add 15 to my y value, which would be 27. So 1727 would be the next point using that ratio. Are there other ways you do it? Absolutely. We can come up with a bunch, but we don't have all day. So on this one, I think I'll do 9 for my change in y, -5 minus 3 for my change in x. So that's 8 for -8. So the slope is -1. That means that y goes down 1 every time x goes up 1. So if x goes up from -5 to -4, y is going to go down 1 from 9 to 8. One more. -2 minus 4 for my change in y. 4 minus -1 or 4 plus 1 for my change in x. So that gives me a slope of -6/5, meaning when x goes up 5 from 4 to 9, my y value is going to go down 6 from -2 to -8. All right, given the slope of a line and 1 point on the line, give the coordinates of 2 other points on the same line. Then use the slope formula to check that the slope between those 2 new points and the given slope is the same as the given slope. Okay. Boy, it seems like a lot to get across what we just got through in the last one, but here we go. Slope is 3 over 1. That means every time x goes up 1, y goes up 3. All right. 1. Y goes up 3, x goes up 1, y goes up 3. Obviously, if we do 10 minus 7 over 2 minus 1, we'll get 3 over 1, which is the same slope. I'll repeat that. So slope of -5 means y goes down 5 every time x goes up 1. So we go up 1 for x. Y is going to go down 5 to 3. All right. The other thing we could do, I guess, we could go down 1 from 2 to 1. but then y would have to go up 5 to balance that out. So we could do that. Checking my slope. There's my change in y. There's my change in x. So it's going to give us 10 over -2, which is -5. Okay. Show you that one more time. -3 over 4. Y is going down 3 every time x goes up 4. So if I go up 4 from 8 to 12, y would need to go down 3 from 6 to 3. Or I could go the other way. I could make x go down 4 from 8 to 4, but then I would have to make y go up 3 from 6 to 9. So there's 2 points. Checking my math here. Change in y, I'll do 9 minus 3 over change in x, 4 minus 12. That gives me -6 over -8. Oh, I'm sorry, +6 over -8, which does simplify to 3/4. Moving along, 0.2. See, I would almost think of 0.2 as 2/10 or 1/5. That's probably how I would think about that. That means that every time x goes up 5, so from 5 to 10, that y would go up 1 from 7 to 8. X goes up 5 from 10 to 15. Y would go up 1 from 8 to 9. I think I'll skip doing the slopes for sake of time here. All right, slope is 1/3. X goes up 3 from 3 to 6. Then y is going to go up 1 right there. Or we could make x go down 3, and then y would have to go down 1. That's pretty important because that's the y-intercept, so that might be pretty useful to us. All right, slope is -0.5 or maybe -1/2 if you look at it. I mean, you can do it with decimals. It doesn't really matter. -1/2. That means every time x goes up 1 from 2 to 3, well, I guess if I'm using the 0.5, every time x goes up 1, y is going to go down 1/2, so down from 7 to 6.5. Or I could make it that every time x goes up 2 from 2 to 4, that y goes down 1 full from 7 to 6. Okay, there's an infinite number of points. Definitely chat message me or your teacher if you need some more help finding those or wanting to know if your point actually works. Now we're finally going to get to write the equation for each line using 2 points you can identify from the graph. Find the slope of the line by counting the change in y over the change in x. Use the slope as the rate of change in the equation. Yeah, then we got to find the y-intercept too. So not too bad. Actually, I'm going to start with the y-intercept. So that's a y-intercept of 2. Then I'm going to look at the slope. I think that point right there. So looks like we go up from 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's an increase of 4. 3, 4. Oh, that's only 5. So it's an increase of 3. And our x values go from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4. So plus 3/4 times x. Y equals 2 plus 3/4 x. All right, next up, y equals, let's start with the y-intercept. Looks like it's at 3. Our slope is going down, so I know it's going to be a negative slope. What about if we just use that one right there? All right, so that's at 9. So down 3, right 9, 3 over 9, -3 over 9 simplifies to -1/3. So that's what I'm going to use in my equation, -1/3. Y equals 3 minus 1/3 x. All right, one more. Looks like our y-intercept is at -1. And our slope, let's see, what that point right there. Looks like it goes up from -1 to 2, so that's an increase of 3, and then right 2. So we'll go plus 3/2 times x. Y equals -1 plus 3/2 x. All right, did I get to everything? I did. It took me a while. But hopefully you learned something. All right. Best of luck to you, and let us know if you have any questions. Bye now.